have those non-negotiables about filming because I know it needs to get done. Your schedule is your lifeline in this industry. If you are not organized and you do not schedule, it won't work.
How to get your first closed deal in the next 30 days. If you're a new realtor struggling to build momentum, this interview is going to completely change the trajectory of your business in your first year. I bring on Deja Spearman, who was initially struggling, doing zero business, and she made one simple change that went on to allowing her to not only close her first deal in the next 30 days, but simultaneously went on to then close consistent deals every month after that and build mass momentum as a brand new agent. She breaks down not only what she did in order to start to build momentum with getting closed transactions, but more importantly, what most agents don't realize is the number one reason why agents fail is not because they don't have the right tools, the right skill set, or the capability, but rather the mindset. And this is one of the only videos you're going to find where a new agent breaks down the mindset shift and what she's doing in order to crush it as a new agent. And the best part is you can too if you stay to the end of this and properly listen and take action on what she shares. Now, before we dive in, two quick things. Number one, I'm going to link all of Deja's incredible content below so that you can check out her channel and see what we're talking about throughout this video. And simultaneously, I will also link her calendar link in case you would like to book a call privately one-on-one to talk about partnering with her. So without further ado, let's bring on Deja and talk to you about what you can do to crush it and build massive momentum as a brand new agent. Welcome back to another incredible video where today we've got one for the new agents, talking with Deja Spearman about how she's been able to build success and massive momentum straight out the gate as a new agent after making a couple key decisions and committing to a specific process that has allowed her to start closing deals. So I'm really excited about this one because a lot of new agents maybe aren't getting the momentum they're looking for or are struggling, looking for the way of what they could do to start closing deals. And I know we're going to be diving into that today. So Deja, really excited to have you on here. What's going on?
Hey, Mike, thank you for having me on the channel. I'm super excited to be here, and hopefully, what I talk about today will push people to have the momentum that I was thankfully able to find and I'm still doing. And it's got me, like you said, the success I have today.
Definitely. Well, it's been nothing short of inspiring and exciting to watch your journey from the beginning and seeing, where you started with us and where you've now been able to go. So, before we start diving into some of the tactical stuff, why don't you just give people a bit of an introduction as to who you are, where you're from, what kind of led you to this point, and then we could start diving in.
Definitely. So my name is Deja Spearman. I'm born and raised right here in New Haven, Connecticut. So before real estate, right out of high school, I went to trade school and did computer-aided drafting and designing. I knew I wasn't like a college person, but I love diving deep into something that I enjoy and I have passion over, and that was computer-aided drafting and designing. And with that, I was able to, design luxury apartments, houses, stuff like that. And when I graduated from trade school, I'm just like, I would love to be able to design houses and luxury apartments. And I got a job offer from a place, but it was like an hour away at that time. My car was beat up. So I'm just like, I wanted to do it, but I didn't have the transportation to do it. So I found another job at Electric Boat. It's a private company contracted by the Navy, and we design submarine parts. Now, you might be thinking like, Electric Boat to me is far as well, but they also had a commuter van. So I'm just like, all right, I only have to drive a quarter of the way and they drive the rest. So I was working there, designing structural submarine parts for about 3.5 years. And then I realized at that job, not only was it not my passion, but it's not something I wanted to do long-term. I did enjoy it, but it's one of those things that I was chasing money. I wasn't chasing what I wanted. And when you chase money, I realized you really don't have it. You have to have a bigger why. So I quit that job November 2021. And I was just like, so I quit that job to go into a property management role at another company, but literally within a week, I'm just like, this isn't for me. But it was a wholesaling type of property management role. So I'm just like, I like the wholesale, I like the real estate. So maybe if I could take my passion with designing houses and selling and helping people buy and sell real estate, I combine those two. So I decided in November 2021, get my real estate license, and I got it. Actually, it was a year on Tuesday, April 18th.
Nice. That's incredible. It's really cool to see, how a lot of times people just, try what they're familiar with and then realize that
Yeah.
there's a different calling and a different passion. And I think it's important to be able to chase that, especially since, I don't know if you experienced this, but when I left engineering, I had so many people that were, twice my age saying, Mike, I had big ideas, big dreams when I was your age, and now I've got, kids and a mortgage and obligations and debt and all this stuff, and I can't do that. So I'm glad that you're doing it, because I think, a lot of people don't chase those passions, and it's exciting to see, what it's been able to do for you.
1000%. I'm just like, when you're stagnant somewhere and you feel like you can't grow, or it feels like a job. Like, I wake up every morning now and I'm just like, I'm doing what I love. It's not a job to me, even though I do have long days. It might be, strenuous at times, but at the end of the day, the results and my why for real estate is way bigger. And so it doesn't feel like I'm stagnant here in real estate. All I can do is grow.
100%. And you've definitely been doing that, which is awesome. So, let's dive into that. So, bring us up to speed in the journey of the fact that you obviously started at a previous brokerage and you didn't maybe have the momentum you were looking for, and made a transition and started to see the growth. So do you want to kind of unpack what that journey was like, and then we can start diving into what you're actually doing?
1000%. So my first brokerage was True Realty, based out of Arizona, but they went live in all 50 states. So I just literally saw my first brokerage, loved what they did, and I joined it. I didn't even interview anybody else. And during the brokerage, we had a marketing coach. His name is the Zillow Killer, James Rember, and we would meet with him 3 times a week. And so he was just like, you have to get on video. Have to. And then he challenged us, and I didn't do it. And he literally told me, he's like, I'm giving you the steps to help you succeed in this business. So honestly, if you're not going to do it, stop coming to the calls. Like, there's no point. You're wasting your time at that point, because he gave me the car. All I have to do is turn it on. So so I posted my first reel during that time. And then, so he helped us on Instagram, Facebook, and then finally YouTube, because YouTube is ultimately a search engine. And that's how a lot of my clients have found me as well. Just searching Connecticut something, I pop up. So my first time on YouTube, it was actually called Locked with Deja. It was kind of like a blog, Locks, Deja.
Yeah.
So I was just posting. I was doing vlogs. I tried to do a couple videos just about Connecticut, and literally, granted enough, in my first month of posting on YouTube, I got my first lead. Someone from Georgia said they saw my video, and everything they knew that I said was true. It was my 3 reasons why you should move to Connecticut. If you see that video, like, literally edited it on InShot, quality wasn't all there, the captions in the video were just, either way, I did it and I got results from it. Wasn't expecting anything, but I did it. And so when I saw that, literally after 4 weeks, I got a lead. I'm just like, I can only imagine what I can do if I did this every week. So I started to post, videos about information tours, food tours, stuff like that. But ultimately, I was doing well on YouTube, but I wasn't doing well production-wise. So my brokerage was based out of Arizona, so most of their training was Arizona. So I wasn't getting that Connecticut training, and that's what I needed. So luckily, James, he would bring in a lot of people to talk to us, and a lot of those people had 2 things in common. 1, they were from EXP, and 2, specifically the Wolf Pack. Bonita, Noah. I'm just like, oh, well, if he's bringing all these people and there's 2 common themes, something has to be right with that group and that company.
Yeah.
So I reached out to Bonita, my sponsor, and I went to an informational call. I absolutely loved the culture and everything Wolfpack had to offer, and everything that I needed to jumpstart my YouTube channel, we had with the Social Agent Academy. So I was at that brokerage for 4 months. I joined EXP in August of 2022. And literally within 3 weeks, I got my first under contract, and I had my first agent join under me, which was, while learning EXP, I'm just like, okay, now I have to learn production. I have to learn how to handle this person, but I'm just like, these are the results when you make the right decisions for yourself and your business. So once again, YouTube, 4 weeks later, first lead. EXP, 3 weeks later, my first under contract and my first agent. So when I got to the Social Agent Academy, I'm like, okay, personal branding. Okay, so maybe I shouldn't just be doing these random backgrounds that I was doing on InShot. So I'm just like, okay, I moved over from InShot to Canva, and I started, all right, navy blue and gold is my theme. I switched my channel name. I got a nice professional banner, stuff like that. And I was posting consistently from that. And I was getting leads from that I'm even still nurturing till today, because a lead's a lead. Whatever stage they're at, you still have to nurture them in whatever step. So coming to today, well, actually going towards December, my two main channels is Instagram and YouTube. And I saw so many people from the group getting success from Instagram, and I wasn't consistent at that time. I'd maybe post 2 videos a week, and then I was gone for another 2 weeks. So I said, I need to challenge myself and do myself. I know it works. So I challenged myself to a 30-day reel challenge. And from that reel challenge, I got a lead a week just from posting every day. And I'm just like, it works. If you're consistent, people see it, it works. When they literally reached out to me, they're just like, oh, I've been seeing you literally every day. It's been on my mind. And that's exactly what I was aiming for. And then going towards December 2022, I'm just like, I have to go into this year being intentional and being consistent. And those 2 things have gotten me to where I am today. So I continue to get leads from not only Instagram and Facebook, but about 3.5, 4 weeks ago, someone commented on my YouTube channel being like, I love your video tours. Do you do multifamilies? I'm just like, I usually don't. I definitely can, but most multifamilies are either already occupied. So I didn't want to show anybody's, business in their unit. But they reached out to me on Instagram saying like, hey, we've been watching you on YouTube for months. We want to work with you. We're already getting pre-approved. And at that time I was doing a buying series. So they're just like, oh, we watched the video and literally did what you said. Already get pre-approved, be prepared for closing costs, stuff like that. I'm just like, so people are actually listening and doing, which is crazy. And so today, this point, we are not only already under contract, but we are planning on getting the clear to close within the next week. So this is my first official YouTube lead that just followed everything I said. The process went extremely smooth. They're very happy. We actually saw it this morning. And yeah, I mean, once again, I don't expect anything out of YouTube. I'm here to provide value for everybody. But when you do that, people earn that trust from you and they want to work with you, and they already are taking those steps. So that is today, just continue to being consistent on both of those channels and continue to provide value, home tours, food tours, just anything I can, whatever, I even ask my followers like, hey, what do you want me to show you? Because I'm here for you. I want to provide for you. So it's been awesome. I actually absolutely love filming and putting out the videos and getting that feedback, because I do it for anybody that needs help with the Connecticut market. So that is today. Yeah.
That's wild. That, I'm so proud of you. And again, there's so much to unpack there. And I think this is going to be, incredibly valuable for people. And again, it's such a testament to your work ethic and your dedication and discipline. So, let's kind of unpack that in chronological order, which is, you came here and first deal in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
So it was actually through OpCity, actually. So all of a sudden I just picked up the phone, they called, and she was looking for a rent to own. We do not have that in Connecticut. So I'm just like, I can help you rent. And she's like, no, I'm just going to buy. But I mean, OpCity I did have with, I think, my previous brokers, but it wasn't set up because they weren't completely live in Connecticut. So it wasn't until EXP I switched over. But yeah, it was like kind of panic mode, because I'm just like, all right, like 3 weeks, not to even like talk about my last brokers, but I didn't learn too much about the paperwork in the market. So, being able to go into the world and literally have my transaction coordinators literally sit down with me, go through everything in the contract that I could be the best agent I can for my first client was literally a game changer. Like, I didn't have to call anyone. I didn't have to go see anybody. I literally went right away, and they were always there for me. So that helped a lot. And we closed in 30 days. That was my first one. And that was like the starting point of my confidence. Like, okay, this is the first. I understand it now. I can do this again. So yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah. Once you get that first one under the belt, it's like, literally, okay, now it's time to rinse and repeat. So
exactly.
That's awesome. And now let's kind of dive into content, because I think that's kind of a centralized theme, and branding and things like that. And, we'll kind of unpack YouTube and Instagram. Now on YouTube, a lot of people are going to be curious, and you kind of touched on this, but what types of videos are you touching on? and kind of recording. And then the next aspect of that everybody's curious about is you're really consistent. So when we
Thank you.
start looking at consistency, what does that look like for you? Are you blocking off a certain window of time every week in your calendar? How are you recording it, editing it, thumbnails, and just kind of walking through that process for anybody that wants to get started?
Yeah, definitely. So every Monday, I block off time just to write out what videos I want to film. So I do an hour of just figure out the topics and the information I gather for it. And then the next hour later, I find houses I want to film for YouTube. So basically 2 hours every Monday, I basically block out what's going to be filmed. I take that and I go to today, Friday, and right after my 12 o'clock meeting, I record for about an hour and a half. So I block off, I can get about 6 videos done in within an hour and a half. So every Friday, I block it off, I film it. And then, so as of right now, I have VAs that record my videos now because production is ramping up. So, but I still want to be consistent on YouTube. So I'm just like, I definitely need help. So I outsource my editing now to my VAs. And then as for thumbnails, I currently do them on Canva, but as of like next week, they will be outsourced as well, because just to get the best optimization, the best thumbnail, the best everything. Like everything's ramping up. So I think so does my channel. I have to as well. And my personal growth. So everything has to go up now that everything else is going up.
100%. Yeah, it's always an evolution where and I think there's a lot of value in starting with yourself, because it's all about the concept of knowing enough to be dangerous. Like, you've done your thumbnails, you've done the editing, so now if a VA doesn't do it properly, like, that it doesn't look right, it could be changed. And I think there's so much value in gaining that experience. But as you alluded to, and I'm so proud that you're doing this, which is reinvesting into your business as you start to build momentum. And I see agents that are making over 6 figures a year, sometimes even 7 figures a year, and they're still designing their own thumbnails, still editing on their own videos. And that's with the VA, as we both know, $5-6 an hour tasks. And
literally,
yeah, so I think it's great that you've been able to go through that trajectory. Now, before we touch on Instagram, let's kind of dive into like the videos that you're creating on YouTube based on your experience, because I know you've put out sort of an array of content in different styles. What do you find is getting the most engagement, or is kind of hitting the most for other people to maybe emulate?
Definitely. I would say number one is definitely my home tours. People that don't live out of state, or whether they do live in state and they don't know something's there. My home tours, I try to keep them short, but they highlight the best points of the house. So if you've seen them, you get the main frame, zoom forward to walking, and just X, Y, and Z. They're about 10 minutes depending on the size of the house. So that's number one. Number two is I love to do interviews, because obviously it's my YouTube channel, but hearing a second opinion from somebody else that's not me, always they love it, because it's like, well, I talk about loans, but I'm not a lender. So I'll do interviews with a lender and they say what they're experiencing on the market. So that's number two. And number three is definitely about like a pros and cons type of video. So like the pros of living here, the cons of living here. Is this city for young professionals? Is it stuff like that? So I'd say those are my top 3 videos that people are enjoying.
I love it. That's super powerful. And again, knowing that YouTube is a search platform, I know just based on my experience that those are all heavily searched. And I think it's great that you're kind of, a lot of people, when I see them going wrong with YouTube, they're trying to reinvent the wheel. They're trying to do something no other agent's doing. And I'm like, listen, nobody's doing it because it doesn't work. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. Just follow the proven process, So that's amazing. Now, you've also been consistent on Instagram. And I think this is always a bit of a dynamic that some people struggle with, which is being consistent with more than one thing. A lot of people find that it's like, okay, I can, be marginally consistent with this one, but how do I do 2? Like, how do I balance this? So what does that look like when you start integrating a second platform?
Definitely at first, it was not easy at all. If I was focusing on one, my other was suffering. So when I did my 30-day reel challenge for myself in December, I think I maybe posted twice in the month because I was so focused on it. And it got to a point where you have to tell yourself, what can I absolutely commit to on this one? And what can I absolutely commit to on the other, and actually do it. So what I usually do on Instagram is I usually I film my YouTube videos first, and my snippets from Instagram lead back to my YouTube. For those that don't want that longer form, I'll shorten it to about a minute. So if I'm talking about the 3 best coffee places in Connecticut, I will maybe just give them the title on Instagram, and then I will actually go in depth here. So I usually just bounce off content between the two, shorter on Instagram, longer on YouTube. And I've gotten good success from that as well, because people are still curious enough to be like, well, I want more, and they go back to my YouTube anyways. But I definitely think managing two, I would probably do about 2 to 3 reels on Instagram, and maybe 1 post that has just multiple slides on it. And then I usually do at least a minimum of 1 YouTube video a week. So that always helps out. And sometimes I'll even post reels before my YouTube video to like get the build up.
Yeah.
And then I'll post. So it just depends, but that's definitely what I can commit to at least 3 times a week on Instagram, and at least once to twice on YouTube, because I know myself. Yeah. And now that spring market is here, which is a crazy market here in Connecticut, I know like, hey, that was a good choice. I overcommitting to something, it either gets sloppier or you don't do it. Just commit to something and stay at that baseline that you have for yourself.
Yeah, it's such a good piece of advice, because I see so many people that will watch a video like this or with anybody else that we've done on the channel, and they're like, okay, I'm fired up. I'm going to do TikTok or Instagram or YouTube. And they're like, I'm going to do, like, I get people messaging me saying, Mike, I'm going to post daily. And I'm like, well, listen, that's great until you run out of ideas in 2 weeks and you burn out. And I think operating at that baseline is such a key principle, because so many people overcommit, and then what happens is they disappoint themselves, and then they fall victim to that weight and pressure on them for saying they committed to it. Now they're not doing it, and then they don't do it at all. And it's so important. I've always advised people to find a cadence and a frequency you can commit to for at least 6 months, and it's better to scale up than to scale back. And so I love that you're doing that. Now, before we get into a couple overarching principles that I think have really defined what you've been able to do here, let's just talk about your process for Instagram. So, what are you editing it on? What are you shooting it on? Any sort of best practices when it comes to reels and video on Instagram?
Yeah, so for Instagram, I film it on my phone. Everything is my phone. And I film it on the same day every Friday, whatever the YouTube video is. I'll film probably about 10 at a time, because that's about 3 weeks worth of content. And I edit it on InShot because it's very user friendly. And then sometimes I'll put the captions. I use the captions app to just put it on there. But other than that, same thing. I block off on those 2 hours on Monday. I am scheduling for YouTube and Instagram. And then on that Friday, I'm filming for both as well.
Awesome. Well, that's super cool. And I think there's, kind of 3 things that I'd really love to dive into to really like pull this full circle, which is, some of the principles that I see that have allowed you to succeed. And the first one that is just relevant because we just got finished talking with it is your discipline with your calendar. And I think I'd love for you to kind of unpack this, because I've always lived by the principle that if it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist. And, so many people are just, treating content as a like casual, when I get to it, when I have time type thing. Right. And we never get time because things get in the way. Life is crazy. Literally. And so maybe dive into your weekly schedule and the importance of committing to what you actually put in your calendar.
1000%. Like, I wasn't until really this coming January, that I actually was serious about my calendar. And even it's like a continuous learning thing, that my calendar is honestly everything. If it's not on my calendar, it does not get done. Even today, my schedule changed about 3 different times because you just never know. But when you have those non-negotiables about filming, because I know it needs to get done, and I know I already set the expectation for not only myself, but my followers. They expect me to post because I've been consistent. What happens when that falls off? They're like, oh, what happened? No, nothing happened. But that's why I do it. It's because people are relying on me. I rely on myself. So my calendar, it's every day, every Monday, it has to get done. I have to have that PDF of everything that I'm going to be talking about, the research I found. And even if you don't have ideas, there's ChatGPT. I use it. Honestly, it saves up time. It's free. Use your resources. ChatGPT is really great. And even if you can't say something right or find the words, you can still use that. And once again, for the homes, I just go out, I ask the agent, hey, can I film your home and help you with marketing? It's usually always a yes. And I make sure that I schedule it on Friday, along with I film first Friday, and then I go out and film the houses. So it's about 2.5 hours of filming, depending on the areas I'm going to. But once again, your schedule is your lifeline in this industry. If you are not organized and you do not schedule, it won't work. I don't know anybody who can just remember everything they do every day. I know I can't. I have a one-pack mind. Like right here, right now I'm in the meeting. Who knows what I'm doing afterwards? My schedule will tell me though. But yeah, so you have to schedule it out, and it has to be important to you where it's a non-negotiable. Obviously, if it's negotiable, it's not that important. Obviously, it's a non-negotiable to me because you guys and this channel and everything I've built is important to me. So once again, if it's not in your schedule, or you don't have some type of like written physical schedule, or your phone, you have to do it. You have to do it. And honestly, you have to make it clear to everybody else. Just because your phone is ringing or you get a text does not mean you have to look at it or answer it. Yes, this is the business and we are on our phones most of the time, but sometimes those people do have to wait because once again, this is a non-negotiable.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of power to that because, you know, I keep my phone on do not disturb. There's no notifications ever on it on any social platform. And you know, I understand that when you're in production, you still need to be able to access your phone. But I think there's a balance here, which is when you're recording, when you're prospecting, when you're doing, you know, the activities that are going to build your business, you need to keep it on do not disturb. And, you know, a lot of people will say, well, Mike, what happens if I miss out on a lead or miss out on a call? And what they fail to realize is people respect those that are busy, and scarcity creates value. So when they know that, hey, you're busy and you'll get back to them, and that's the importance of what most people don't do, which is creating a strategic voicemail. That's something that, again, will help them understand that you're valuable, you're busy, you're doing work, you're growing, and that you're not just freely disposing of your time. Now, the second principle, which I think is really important that you've done incredible with, it kind of boils down to learning and being coached and never staying stagnant. And I think it's incredible where you were at this past brokerage, not getting what you were looking for, but you had the diligence and the discipline to reach out and be able to be involved in James's coaching. And then, you know, you were able to come over here and you dove into the academy, and you've always been a student. And I think a lot of people, you know, kind of just say, hey, I'm going to do what's comfortable, and whatever's provided to me, that's what I'm going to work with. And you're always seeking more. So do you want to explain to a lot of the newer agents that, you know, aren't where they want to be, that there's a lot of weight behind working with people that maybe are where you want to be?
1000%. When you come into this industry, you have to be a baby and get the milk. Just like suck it in from everybody else. You have to be able to be coachable. You have to be able to learn and sit back and let other people at least help you get to your niche, right? Because there's so many different ways that you can get leads and prospect. Yes, and I've tried it. I haven't done cold call, I know myself, but I have done maybe door knocking and stuff like that. You have to try it out, and you have to be able to learn and try things outside of the box. When I first got into real estate, I'm just like, oh, I'm going to move in silence. No one's going to know. But honestly, I quickly learned that I have to put myself out there in order for people to find me. So that mindset switched very quickly because I'm just like, no, I can't be under a rock. I actually have to be on top of it. So yeah, when you are in this industry, you have to be able to let the OGs, and they don't even have to be older, but we are looking at successful people. The Wolfpack is filled with people that found their niche and are good at it. Ask them questions, allow to be teachable and coachable, and don't be afraid. Like, I am never afraid to ask anybody a question. A stupid question there's no such thing, because if you don't know something, you have to ask. Like, yeah, you can go Google, yada, yada, yada. The easiest way is to humble yourself and ask the person. That's always been easiest for me. When I first got under contract and I went to my transaction coordinator being like, I literally do not know this, they sat down with me and showed me, and I was humble enough to be like, hey, I have this person, but I don't know what to do. And we have people like that all over, not only the Wolfpack, but the company that is always willing to reach out. When I went to EXPCon, I literally had people being like, hey, save my number if you need anything from Phoenix, from Hawaii, from wherever. I literally met them 10 seconds ago, but they are always willing to help. And you have to be able to utilize it. They give us so much on how to be successful. It's literally up to us to just take it and implement it.
Yeah, you said a principle that's so important and near and dear to my heart, which is, really coming down to dropping your ego, removing emotion, and being able to say, hey, it's okay to ask questions. It's important to learn from other people. And I think
Yes.
you touched on something that maybe people missed, which is the age thing, where a lot of people make the assumption that, if they're older, they've got the best advice. But what you'll see is, number one, a lot of the older agents also just got into the industry. Number two,
Yeah.
a lot of the older agents that have been in the industry for 20 years have repeated their first year for 20 years, which is why they're
Correct.
still not doing massive volume. And, with me being 30, I still learn a lot from Noah on TikTok, and he's 22. But then
Right.
simultaneously, I'm teaching a lot of people at 30 who are 50, 60 years old about video, but I learned from them. And I think it's important to be able to, again, you said it perfectly, to be able to humble yourself and just understand that, even though we've got strengths, we also have weaknesses. And if we find people that have the skill set in that area, then we should be willing and open and, really excited to receive that information to make us more well-rounded.
Literally. Yeah. I mean, like I said before, I mean, you just literally have to just sit down and be able to have that milk as a baby because you
Yeah.
are a babe. Even if you were maybe shadowing someone before you got your license, you still weren't active.
Yeah.
So, 1000%, I agree.
No, that's perfect. And I think kind of, the last key principle, before we pull it full circle is, you've done really well with discipline, but taking action, and I think committing to what you say you're going to do. And I think this kind of boils down to maybe your best recommendations for agents that either A, just got started in the industry, or B, got started in the last couple of years and haven't built momentum. What is your best advice for somebody to break through plateaus or to at least get the ball rolling?
Definitely. So in December 2022, after I did that 30-day Real Challenge, I told myself, this business, we are independent contractors. Like, my business is dependent on me. And if I want to get to my why and why I'm in real estate, I have to put in the steps. You do have to say no a lot now. Like, hey, maybe I'm not gonna go out as much partying because, hey, I have to film or do something like that. Like, this industry, definitely after the first year or so, you do have to say a lot of no to the things you were doing,
Mhm.
but I'm saying a lot of no now to say yes later. And so for me, I've seen the results, what it can do. I've seen it with other people when they're consistent. So I can only imagine what I can do if I'm consistent that way. But it is overall a choice. My thing, you give us once again the Social Agent Academy. It's
Mhm.
my choice to go through it and follow it. I mean, everything in this business is a choice. I choose to stay up at night to answer clients. I choose to do this, but these are choices that are going to get me to the next step. I have my why, my goals. I did a vision board, which I think everybody should do, because
Yeah.
to see your goals, put it on your wall, put it on your screensaver on your phone, because that our phone is our business, and look at it every day. And it's a reminder that, hey, I'm working towards my next step on where I could go. And I literally, I mean, it's once again, it's all you. It's you, yourself, and I. You have support, yes, but at the end of the day, someone's not closing a transaction for you. It's your name on that transaction.
Yeah.
So the one thing I can say is definitely find out your why. Why are you in real estate? Obviously, some people's whys are literally money, and that's more than fine. My why is, hey, generational wealth, like a legacy. I want to retire my mom, stuff like that. So when you have those whys and you know it can be done, especially with the brokerage we are at, I make the decisions. I get up every day and make sure it's done because I know it can do it. So it's a choice that you have to make, and I hope you make the right one. Yeah.
100%. And I think that's a testament to, your personality, because when we look at it, you even being cognizant of the fact that it's a choice, I think is such a mature approach, because a lot of people play the blame game. And, I take a more dramatic approach to how I communicate some messages. But the moral of the story is that, the truth of the matter is, you number one, you are exactly where you need to be right now in life based on the choices you made in the past. So I think that's something that people need to acknowledge, for better or
Yes.
worse. And then I think the second thing, and this is something that I think leads to your choices, which is, your income is always a direct reflection of the entrepreneur that you become. And you know, Alex Hormozi said a great quote, which is that you're not making as much money as you think you should because you're not actually as good as you think you are. And I think
Right.
a lot of people, you know, have not become, and their income is not reflected because they have not become disciplined in following through with their calendar. They're not keeping their promises to themselves. They're not being intentional with what they're doing on a daily basis. And that all comes down to choices. And I love that you've been able to conceptualize that and apply it to your business. So, you know, there's a really exciting opportunity, which is people are able to partner with you and myself and Benita and be able to get support. So, you know, do you want to just kind of pull things full circle with that about, you know, what it's been like for you to come over here, but more importantly, your relatable experience of what you can now help people do as new agents to get out of the rut that they're currently facing?
1000%. I'll start with the rut at first because
yeah.
At first, once again, when you heard my story in the beginning, my marketing coach said either do it or stop coming to my calls because he's telling me what to do. So once again, it's a choice, but you have to choose whether you can start. And my thing is, you do not have to be good. If you go to my earlier YouTube channel videos, I mean, yes, they're done. Are they the best compared to this? No, but it's done. It does not have to be perfect. It has to be done. And you learn as a way. Once again, you have to be able to learn. But I learned after I was doing it for months upon months. So I would think one thing you have to do is honestly, and even if you're afraid to be on camera, I would bring someone with you. Maybe you both can talk about something you both enjoy just to take the pressure off of you. I've done interviews with people, and even if it's just a video yourself, side by side, take the pressure off of you. I would start with that. And two, once again, chat GPT, or you can go to Google and type in your state, like what is, let's say Michigan's, and say what they say. Take that question, chat GPT, and just talk about that. There's not a lot of things you have to do now where it requires you to, like, I guess, think so much or put so much thought into it that you're freaking out. Like, we have systems and AI to help you with that. So I think just number one, I would say just post your first video. My first reel got, I think, over 2,000 views, and I wasn't even speaking. It was just a view of like the winery. And I'm just like, okay, I could do it. I got good feedback. So I would just say post like a single video online and see the feedback from it and just continue to do it. I think in this industry, one thing you can't do is just consume everybody else's opinions. Not everybody's gonna like you. Not everybody's gonna like your content. You're gonna lose followers, but you're also gonna gain a lot more from people that do. And so that is definitely probably one of the major things. I was afraid to post. I didn't like my voice, but I'm just like, I'm not doing it for my followers, my people. I'm doing it for the people that are looking for someone like me to help them. So that's definitely, I think, almost number one is you need to mentally get out of your own way and post for your business. I think a couple of weeks ago, for the very first time since I started, I did a video and I blasted it to my sphere, and I'm just like, oh, they're not gonna like it, yada yada yada. I got amazing feedback. I'm like, I wish I did it earlier. Now over 300 people know I'm a realtor, and I should have done that when I first started. So a lot of the stuff that you're afraid of now is probably keeping you from getting business, because so many people reach out to me saying, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I'm just like, where was I? I should have done this earlier. So that's definitely one about the rut. And what was the other question?
Yeah, well, I think just unpacking the rut, I think, you know, you talked about it so importantly is a lot of people make up these big demons in their head that aren't reality. Like, we are our own worst enemy. Real estate's a mental battle. It's, you know, mindset is the number one reason why people fail. And you get all caught up in your head. People are going to hate it. They're going to do this. They're going to say that. And it's like, listen, like, most people just want to see you win and support you. So get outside of your own way and get, you know, get to work. But, you know, the last aspect of it was just, you know, being able to now align with you. And I think it's important where you've got yourself, Benita, and myself, and that trilogy of people that all want to help, all want to see you win. You know, there are agents that are you know, struggling right now. And what does it look like for them to be able to now align with you and be able to get your support as well as me and Benita?
I don't think anybody understands like the power of the wolf pack. And at first, when I first joined EXP, I was between the wolf pack and another group. And I'm so glad I chose the wolf pack. Like, I joined in August and I had Bonita, yada, yada. But then it wasn't until I went to EXPCon. Yeah, we see each other on our weekly masterminds, but it wasn't until we got in person. I'm just like, this is a whole other world. to have hundreds of people, whether it's in the Wolfpack or outside of them, come up to you and be like, I'm here for you. I'm here for your support. They're just as genuine, if not more genuine in person. And it's just like, it's one giant family. In this industry, and I've done it too, there are some people, you have goals and you are growing yourself. You do have to sometimes leave those people behind that are keeping you from growing or keeping you from being stagnant, don't support you. And so I had to do that, but I'm just like, I mean, I had to drop maybe 10 people, but I gained about 100 more coming here, and I have their numbers. I can text them any question I have. Benita's always there. I know Mike and Connor are always there, but we have the women's wolf pack. Like, I have so much support that I honestly don't even know what to do with it. Yeah. Like, it's just, I have people everywhere, and I never had that before in any job. So it's honestly crazy to have unlimited support and people that are literally doing things to see you win and help your business. That's what Benita does. It's us. She literally is turning the key for me, and I just only have to finish turning it all the way. Benita is absolutely amazing. Even when I had COVID back after in like late December, she's just like, are you changing your toothbrush? Are you drinking water? Like, it's even coming down. It's not even just a job thing. It's more of my health. Are you mentally doing okay? And yeah, it's so nice having that unlimited support, and that's everything you have. When I joined the Wolfpack, because that's what they said, but yes, they're saying that they talk the talk and they walk the walk. One thing that is very valuable in this industry is someone that does what they say, and everything that you will get with the Wolfpack, you are going to get it. And if you partner with me, you're going to get the same thing. I think partnering with Benita, Mike, Connor, it helped me change my mindset, and even my agent, Jeremy, underneath him, I make sure he's okay. If he needs anything, I'm going to Charlotte next week. I'm going to be seeing him. So once again, if you partner with me, one thing, you're going to be getting a family of thousands, but you're going to be getting that unlimited support and that help that you probably have always been looking for and never thought existed.
I love it. Well, that's such a perfect way to pull this full circle, Deja. And again, I couldn't be more grateful to have you in the family and to be able to be partners on this incredible journey. And I know that your channel is going to continue to grow, your brand's going to continue to grow, and you're going to continue to impact so many people. So as mentioned, guys, I'm going to make sure to link all of Deja's incredible content below her Instagram, her YouTube, so you can follow the journey, but also use it as a bit of a blueprint of what you could do in your market. So thank you so much for tuning in. As always, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye, everyone.